Hunter Biden convicted on all charges in his federal gun trial, what that could mean for his future. And a federal judge says a Florida law blocking treatment for trans youth is unconstitutional. The Morning Rundown starts now.
From the Straight Arrow News Studio, bringing the stories that matter to you from across the United States and around the world. This is the Morning Rundown.
Today is Wednesday, June 12th. Thank you for joining us. I'm Kara Rucker. Hunter Biden is facing up to 25 years in prison now after a jury found him guilty on all counts in his federal gun trial. This marks the first time in history a sitting president's child has been found guilty of criminal charges. Hunter Biden has been convicted on 2 counts of lying about his drug use on paperwork to buy a gun and 1 count for unlawfully possessing a gun while using drugs. He released a statement after saying he's disappointed by the outcome. It took the jury less than 3 hours to come to its decision. Once the judge in the case confirms the verdict, Hunter Biden faces up to 25 years in prison and $750,000 in fines. No sentencing date has been set yet. Special counsel David Weiss talking to reporters after the verdict was released.
Ultimately, this case was not just about addiction, a disease that haunts families across the United States, including Hunter Biden's family. This case was about the illegal choices defendant made while in the throes of addiction. No one in this country is above the law. Everyone must be accountable for their actions, even this defendant. However, Hunter Biden should be no more accountable than any other citizen convicted of this same conduct.
President Joe Biden traveled to Delaware following his son's guilty verdict in a show of support for his son. He released a statement saying he will accept the outcome of this case and that he and First Lady Jill Biden are proud of the man Hunter Biden's become. In September, Hunter Biden will stand trial in California, where he faces 9 federal tax charges. Hamas responded Tuesday to a U.S.-backed ceasefire proposal for Gaza, suggesting amendments but not fully committing to the terms, Israel viewing the response as a rejection. Hamas insists that any ceasefire should lead to a permanent end to the war, including the withdrawal of Israeli forces and the reconstruction of Gaza, along with the release of Palestinian prisoners. Despite U.S. assertions that Israel accepted the proposal, Israel has continued its operations in Gaza and has not publicly confirmed accepting any deal. The U.S. proposal, backed by the UN Security Council, calls for a phased ceasefire, starting with a 6-week pause in the war and negotiations for a permanent peace. U.S. Secretary of State Antony Blinken says any progress in a ceasefire and hostage release deal would come directly from Gaza. The United States also responding on Tuesday to a Wall Street Journal report. The outlet obtained messages from Hamas chief Yahya Sinwar saying he believes more Palestinian deaths work to his advantage, calling civilian deaths necessary sacrifices. National Security Advisor John Kirby said, "It should surprise and shock no one that a beast like Mr. Sinwar would actually take glee in it." A United Nations inquiry published this morning found that both Israel and Hamas committed war crimes during the early stages of the Gaza war. The UN Commission of Inquiry, which also accused Israel of crimes against humanity due to significant civilian casualties and infrastructure damage in Gaza, released the findings in 2 separate reports. These reports covered the conflict up to the end of December, detailing violations including torture, willful killing, and inhumane treatment. Additionally, the commission found evidence of mass killings and sexual violence carried out by Palestinian armed groups. The reports will be discussed further at the upcoming UN Human Rights Council session in Geneva. Israel has rejected the findings, criticizing the COI for bias. Hamas has not responded. A federal judge has struck down a Florida law blocking treatment for transgender youth, calling it unconstitutional. The law not only blocked gender transition surgeries and hormonal treatments for transgender minors, it also severely restricted such treatments for adults. The judge said the state went too far when it barred transgender minors from being prescribed puberty blockers with their parents' permission. He also stopped Florida from requiring that transgender adults only receive treatment from a doctor and not from a registered nurse or other qualified medical practitioner. Additionally, the judge ruled against a ban on telehealth treatment for transgender adults. However, he did leave in place the part of the law prohibiting surgery for minors, saying in his decision the lawsuit did not challenge it. We want to put a spotlight on our other podcast here at Straight Arrow News, Weapons and Warfare. And this week's episode, out now, is all about drones. Ryan Robertson takes a deep dive on how the U.S. is positioned on future conflicts when it comes to drone warfare. Hear from former Air Force leaders, as well as some defense and security experts, on what our national defense is doing right now and where it needs to get better when it comes to drones in the hands of today's operators. And in the Weapon of the Week segment, learn why the Special Forces community turned to an Alabama startup that got its start pioneering the Drone Racing League. You can find Weapons and Warfare wherever you get your podcast. Finally this morning, the reigning champ of the annual Nathan's Famous 4th of July hot dog eating contest says he won't be chewing his way to victory this year. Joey Jaws Chestnut has won the contest 16 times total, and every year since 2016. So what's got him dogging it this year? He's going vegan. Well, he's endorsing a vegan hot dog brand over Nathan's. The professional eater taking to social media, saying he was gutted to learn he'd been banned from the annual event after almost 2 decades. These are your top stories for this Wednesday. We'll see you back here tomorrow. Until then, I'm Kara Rucker. Have a great day.